Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to do a update about a stock that has had some serious allegations made about it over the last couple of weeks, and that has led to the share price absolutely tanking. So we're going to talk about that today and the opportunity here, if there's an opportunity, or what are the risks, I guess, with this stock. So yeah, we're going to do everything like that. It was a video that I was supposed to do earlier this week, and it's just been such a crazy week with what's gone on that I never got round to. I did all the research. I even had all the information ready to go, and then it just kind of kept getting pushed back more and more. And I don't normally do videos on the weekend, but I thought, you know what, I've got all the information ready to do this. I really want to make this video and talk about this stock with what's kind of gone on recently. So here we go. And just to let you know, if you do want to know when I'm buying or selling companies in real time, make sure you join the Patreon. Link is in the description. I've just dropped another exclusive video on there, which is to talk about earnings from the last week. And I also post what I'm buying and selling in real time on there. But we'll get stuck onto this stock, which is Cakebox. So Cakebox, I mean, just look at this stock chart. The drop here since the 19th of November, it kind of really got caught up in everything that's going on. You know, there's hardly any stocks really now left that haven't been touched with this big massive stock market crash that we're having in 2021, 2022, and it was kind of caught up in that. And it did generally have a bit of a pullback, but even quicker. I mean, just look at this drop off here. Since around the 7th of January, within just over 1 month, 2 months, 58% of the value of this company has been wiped off. I mean, just put that into consideration. 58% wiped off your valuation in just under 2 months, basically. It's a serious drop. It's a massive serious drop. And obviously, you have to look into this. And when I own this stock, and I have been waiting for a pullback for a long time on this stock to buy it, but it's one of those that when you look at that drop, you have to just go and check and make sure that nothing's actually changed with your company. You know, you got to this is what I tend to do, is that when I see them sort of drops, I have to go in, I have to look at it and go, okay, something fundamentally has to have changed with the company for it to have that much of a drop. And that's what you have to do. You have to look at the risk and weigh up that risk and go, how serious is this? You know, the thing at the moment is that we have had a lot of stocks out there that have dropped this much, and then you look and go, but not one single thing has changed with the company. There's been a lot of them companies out there that's happened to. Now, the situation with Cakebox is there is something, and we're going to talk about that. There is a little bit of a risk here with this one, and that's what you got to weigh up here. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the company itself. So the company itself, if you look at the share price point of view now, I mean, it's basically the massive run that it's been on through 2020 and 2020 and 2021 has basically been totally wiped out. And this company is now, you have to go basically to the CV dip to get anywhere close to where the share price is still up from. So basically any time when this stock has been on the stock market, you're basically down in your position. The only people that are really up on this position is probably if you were in the stock pre-IPO, or if you bought in the CV dip. So that's certainly, when you look at the 4 years of share price appreciation. I mean, this stock really didn't actually kick on when it came onto the stock market. It had a classic kind of IPO, bit of sluggish period, but financially in particular, it has performed very well recently in the last few years. And that finally got reflected in the share price, but now that's totally being wiped out. And it's now valued at 60 million. And you can see here, it's down at a P ratio of 12. So that's very important to say, is that, when you talk about your market average stock, probably 12 P ratio, maybe slightly lower than that, it's a 12. And then you're also considering now it also pays around about a 4% dividend yield. So that's a very chunky dividend. That's not a small dividend. That's a nice 4% dividend yield. And also you're valuing this stock now at below the market average. So that's something important to point out. So Cakebox itself came onto the stock market in 2018. It specializes in cakes, as you would guess. And it also goes I guess the unique selling point is that it also goes through egg-free cakes as well, and it also does this through a franchise model, which has basically been why it's been able to grow its stores. And my belief in this one is that, you talk about a moat on this one, and it's a little bit tricky to kind of say a moat about this one, because realistically, can anyone open up a shop that sells cake? Yeah, potentially. But I think the affordability, how good taste they are, also the unique selling point that they're egg-free cakes, and they do have a few partnerships creeping in now, like having kiosks in like supermarkets. I think that it does generally have a slight little moat there than potentially just being a normal cake shop. I guess those are the kind of unique selling points. But my kind of thing on this one is that, you know, this is still a very small company and they could easily double their footprint in the next few years, and they will double the amount of stores they have. You know, they don't have that many. Obviously the products are loved, they're selling well, and that's why they're being able to open more and more stores. And that's my kind of game plan with this one going forward. Now, like I said, this company is valued at a 12 times earnings, and if you look at this company here, the company has a history of growing that revenue at a very good rate, and especially over the last period of time, as it's combined now an online presence and delivery, and its retail stores, and really aggressively open them stores. Also makes very good amounts of profit as well. So it's important to say consistency with revenue growth, with profit growth. And like I said, you know, this is a company that trades at below your normal times earnings, and the revenue growth, the profit growth is above your normal earnings and revenue growth, which is fantastic. Simple Wall Street have this as quite undervalued. If we just look at a comparison though of the valuation, you see here 12 times earnings. The industry is currently 12, but the market's currently 16. Financial health wise, it's very good on the balance sheet as well. You know, 11% debt to equity, and the equity is getting stronger and stronger. You can see here there's 1.4 billion debt, but the cash is 5.6 billion. So if they're wanting to, they could easily pay off all that debt and also that cash as well. What they seem to be doing is investing it back into the company and also paying out a dividend. Like I said earlier, the dividend is currently 4.8%, as you can see here. And the payout ratio is obviously as well is 50%, so that dividend is quite well covered. Now, there was some shareholders that sold their shares previous to the dip, which is absolutely fine. It would be more concerning if they sold these shares after the dip. And since the dip, there has been some buy-ins. If the director's willing to put more cash in after this dip, kind of gives you that little bit more confidence. And it's also important to say that the CEO and the founder-led company, also has 24% stake in the company. So if anyone was to really get affected by the poor performance, it is the founder, it is the CEO of the company. So they have a massive incentive to kind of get this company to do well. So that's always a positive sign as well. So basically what has caused Cakebox to lose so much value? Well, it came out there was allegations of fraud, accounting issues with inside the company. Now there's two really main key points to put out here. One of them being that their inventory was reported incorrect, and that's probably the main allegation that this company had. And the second point is being that their website hacked. So they actually had their website hacked, and it took a while for Cakebox to come out and openly admit this, and also they reported it to the auditors quite late as well, which then obviously frustrated the auditors. And then that led to the auditors sending a letter in to move away from dealing with the company basically. And it said, during the course of the audit engagement, we became concerned about the robustness of the company's control and governance framework due to delays in provision to us of the audit evidence, which was not provided on a timely basis. So it sounded like the auditors wouldn't, like, we don't want to work with you anymore. You know, it seems like you're not doing a good job controlling it, and then obviously just to, you know, push us over the edge, you have a website breach and then you come and not tell us about it. And Cakebox themselves actually wanting to carry on working with the auditor, and then the auditor stepped away, which is never a good sign if your auditor's wanting to step away. Now, it is important to say that the auditor, they have now replaced the auditor, and the auditors still did sign their accounts off, which is important. It would have been a bit more of a concern if they didn't sign the accounts off. So it sounds like to me there's just been a bit of a breakdown, and the auditors got a bit frustrated with how the company's been managing it. Now, Cakebox themselves actually came out with a statement saying they acknowledge the errors and they are going to rectify them, and they are also going to improve this process in the company. But they did say that they stress that the errors have no impact on the group's reported profits, cash flows or balance sheet, and the company received a clean audit opinion for the year. So my overall opinion on this is that it is a little bit of poor management from Cakebox, and they do need to improve this. They do need to get a bit tighter on this, and it has clearly been some errors with inside the company. However, like I said just then, is that it did not affect any of the company's profit or revenue, which would have been the major issue. Now, the inventory issue is a problem, but it's not a major problem. This sometimes does happen, especially with a company that is growing this fast, and it seems like to me this is a lot more growing pains rather than the company purposely trying to put errors in the balance sheet. Reporting errors, and it was signed off by the auditor. So for me, this looks like it's something that they do need to improve on as a company, but it seems like to me the reason why they're having this is just because they are growing so fast. With regards to the hacking on the website, once again, not really their fault. It's not their fault. They didn't know someone's going to come and hack them. and maybe they should have dealt with that a bit better. Maybe they didn't make the right improvements, which once again, I think that just comes down to the company growing. The company's growing so fast that they've not been able to keep up with improving the actual company to the standard that they should do. Obviously, I think these are just, these aren't great, and it's things they need to do better. But for me, I don't see too many big concerns. But I think that because it's not just one error, 2 errors, I do have to be a little bit cautious of that. Now, putting that into consideration, the company is now 12 times earnings. Historically, it's around about a 23, and the max it's been is 48. You put in the point of view now that the company is currently valued at, and you're basically valuing it at the same price it was back in 2019, 3 years ago. And once again, you look at the company from 3 years ago, and 3 years ago, the company was doing 16 million with 2 million profit, and now it's doing 29 million with nearly 5 million in profit. It's a massive jump. So I think when you look at what Cakebox is now valued at, it's very, very cheap on historic valuations. And then you also consider you're also going to be picking up nearly a 4% dividend yield in this. And I think the little bit of benefit as well is that you've seen insiders buying up on this dip. And who is going to be the one that would really lose out in this situation is the founder and CEO. He owns the most ownership in the company. So if something bad was to happen, he was the one that lose out massively, because he's got the biggest stake in the company. So that kind of skin in the game gives me a little bit of confidence as well. So my overall thoughts are that yes, it is not good. It's something that does need to improve. However, it is an inventory issue and not a reporting issue on profit and revenue. And the hacking side of it, they should have dealt with that better. But like I say, they didn't choose to get hacked, if you know what I'm saying here. So yeah, I think this is more kind of issues that they're growing so fast and they're not able to keep up with it. But it's something they do need to improve on. So with that kind of overview is that I did buy some more shares in Cakebox. I'm not going to go, normally if I saw this dip here on a company like Cakebox, I'd be willing to go heavy in it. But because there is a couple of issues, I'm just going to be a little bit cautious. It won't come a crazy big position, but I will carry on buying it. Buying some shares in this, because I don't think the problems are too serious, but because it is multiple errors in the last 12 months, that's what's stopping me from making it a massive position. But I still have confidence to hold and buy, maybe not as much as what I would buy if it was, without these concerns. Maybe I'd buy a bit more than what I have done, but I'm still happy with what's going on here. And I'm going to capitalise on this dip a little bit anyway. So hope you enjoyed the video on Cakebox, guys. Have a good weekend. Catch you in a bit.